US birth rates just hit another record low. What do you think is the leading cause of this? My coworker pays $2,300 a month for daycare for their 3 kids. Edit. I'm told this is cheap for 3 kids, which bolsters this point even more. Gestures vaguely at everything. It turns out that when starter homes cost $500,000 and childcare is basically a second rent payment, people start treating having a kid like a luxury hobby they can't afford. People cannot afford to raise kids. More people are realizing that parenthood is a choice and not a requirement. Edit. Thank you so much for the award. Can't afford food. Birth care is expensive. If you need an abortion for health reasons, you may not be able to get one, or even if you miscarry. Childcare is expensive. Children are expensive. Rent is expensive. Everything is exp. It's a combination of 3 things: affordability, lower teen pregnancy rates, and greater social acceptance of people who don't want kids. I'm sure there have always been a significant minority of people who just don't want kids, but they had them anyway because it was expected. Now those people don't have to pretend anymore. Well, when 1-bedroom places are going for $1,500 or more, who can afford to? Boomers were the first US generation where women were generally expected to work substantial amounts outside of the home, but then they were also expected to do all of the things women who were housewives were responsible for as well. I think a lot of their daughters saw that and were just like, no thanks. Women get zero support from pregnancy and throughout motherhood. Inadequate maternity leave, lost productivity and advancement in their careers because of childcare needs. The burden is rarely equally shared between men and women. The gender roles are outdated, and women are finding out how much they really sacrifice to become mothers. The country is a shithole run by a sociopath. The OBGYN in my area closed, and the nearest one is 90 miles away, but I can't imagine. Pets are more affordable. 1. Can't afford it. 2. Seems unethical to bring a kid into a dying planet increasingly run by fascists. 3. Don't want kids. That's me at least. I can't afford to have children, and all the doomer mindset has been so depressing that I don't even want to bring someone into this world. If I could afford a child, and the outlook on life was better, my wife and myself would 100 have children. It's not economic. Birth rates are falling everywhere in the developed world for one essential reason. Women are now educated and independent from men, and in that circumstance many women choose to postpone or limit the number of children they have, or to not have children at all. And to be clear, this is a good thing, but it also means the decline in birth rates cannot be reversed, and we need to start thinking of what an aging and old society looks like, and ultimately what a human race that has very little population growth looks like. We're all fucking tired and broke as hell. Next question. What keeps me from starting a family for years was the lack of money. Now that I'm in a place where I might be able to, I'm a little bit too old and I can't find a partner. Well, I feel qualified. Me 37, W 34. Married 11, together 18. We are financially very sound. It's very simple. With the sole feel of how hard life is now. Why? Most people are talking about economics, which is totally valid. But I wonder if there is a significant number of people who believe it is unethical to bring children into a world that looks like it could go sci-fi dystopian on us at any moment. My kid's 6 and 4, and I'm starting to wonder if they'll actually have careers or families 30 years from now. It used to be that everybody had kids because they had to support them, or are supposed to, social pressure. The US has improved to the point where those motivations are largely non-existent. People can barely afford to support their own lives, and it's only getting worse. Children are expensive. Who wants to be broke and struggling? Not I. Depends on who you ask. If you ask people who are actually of childbearing age, they'll likely tell you the cost of having kids is too expensive. The cost of food, clothing, housing, etc. is too expensive. Insurance is too expensive. The economy is crap. and there's just too damn much uncertainty in the world. If you ask Republicans, they'll tell you it's because birth control is legal, gay marriage is legal, abortion is legal, no-fault divorce is legal, and people would rather play on their cell phones. Ben Sass just said the last one. Gestures broadly at everything. Primarily, there is just the plain fact that wages have not kept pace with the cost of living over decades. It leads to an erosion of quality of life. Young people have to work more hours just to make ends meet after spending tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands on an education they were told they need to get a good-paying job. The American dream is dead. Now we ask them to incur the cost of raising a child? Combined with broad geopolitics, climate change, etc., there is a real sense of the world not being better for our children. For the first time in a long time, there are also greater access to birth control, less need for several children to work the farm, a lack of space in apartments to raise children. Women feel less of their identity needs to be defined by motherhood and more directly pursue fulfillment in other ways such as careers. Kind of a perfect storm of reasons not to have kids all falling into one. Do you know how bad you have to treat mammals to the point they are so stressed that they don't reproduce? I saw someone say that it's really opened my eyes to how we Americans are living. I think it's largely economic. Times are tough. Also, this generally happens in developed countries, so it's more global than just the U.S. Maybe people are realizing you don't really need 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kids. The cost of living is insane. Affordability is probably one for most people. For me, personally, there has not been one person I know or have seen that makes parenting look appealing. People are taking the time to actually consider if they want kids. For so long it was just the assumed next step or the only way to guarantee some source of income if your husband left. Americans working 80-hour weeks just to make ends meet and survive. OP. Hey, why aren't you all having any kids? The economy, uncertainty about the possibility of nuclear war, the threat of birth control being taken away, fear of complications from pregnancy in states where getting treatment may be difficult or impossible, red pill ideology making women feel unsafe. Lots of things. Of course, money is one of the biggest issues, but there are other factors. A lot of women see how few, not all, men are willing to take on their half of the responsibilities of raising a child. It's a lot less appealing when you see how burnt out the mothers around you are and you know you'll be in the same predicament. There are also significantly fewer men interested in marriage and monogamy. When you hear people talking about how hard the dating world is today, you know that there will be fewer committed relationships and therefore fewer women will get pregnant on purpose. Time is also a problem. If a couple already feels like they don't have enough time to themselves after work, they might not want to give up the little free time they have to raise kids. They're wonderful, but they do limit your freedom. Add that to not being able to afford kids and worrying about their safety in this world, and you're going to get less planned pregnancy.